Yeah, no, I understand.
Sometimes it's important.
Of course, they want to get it right. You want to get it
That
right.
was my interpretation. I realized
That was any.
nobody ever
Real, it's just everybody trying to
managed things like
stop
that.
their
I
own
made
eyes.
mistakes.
And it took,
It's in my second. It was
felt like a run.
because I didn't see it. Or,
I've done that before too.
yeah.
Actually, did that a couple months ago.
I-
and
I-
forgot the thing
I'm not sure
in
why
the
it's spelling mistakes. It's the word that executive that's yeah. But
We're
expecting anyone else.
you do enough of it.
Okay. Welcome to the November regularly scheduled meeting of the Calvert City Council. I appreciate everybody coming tonight, and I'm gonna ask Miss Linda to open us up with a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So we thought maybe John would be joining us by Zoom tonight, and apparently we've not got him. So with that said, we'll carry on. We'll endeavor to make it without him. Everybody's gone through the meeting minutes of October 10th and the special call of November 9th. Any questions, additions, deletions? There being none, I would entertain a motion to accept.
So move.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. Visitors and petitioners in front of the council. We have Wendy Elrod in our presence tonight. Wendy was named the Citizen of the Season, I think, at our last meeting. And she wasn't able to come, and she's able to come tonight. And I've got this beautiful plaque here, so I will come up and give it to you. You're part of the.
I'm gonna take a couple, so.
Take a couple.
Yeah.
All right. They usually break it after the first line.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Wendy, she's part of the Blair's posse that comes up and can't tell Blair no, but I kind of think maybe you might instigate some of it too. So we appreciate it. And I can't think of a more deserving recipient. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You're part of this great community.
Yeah.
Thank you.
She's talking to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talking to me, Blair? Okay, Blair, you want to tell us about the youth writing contest winner?
Yes, we do have a winner. His name is Zachary Peak. He is from Louisville, Kentucky. His the title of his article is Mudslinging. Will it ever stop? It's a really interesting read on 15-year-old's take on politics and mudslinging that can go on. It will be in Lake News this week, so Wednesday. And anyway, he's 15 years old. He's from Louisville. He loves to play the saxophone, the guitar, and the drums, and he loves history too. But yeah, it's awesome to see someone from Louisville, Kentucky submitting, and congratulations to Zachary Peak.
Zachary Peak. Any idea how Zachary Peak became aware of our contest in Calvert City?
He does have some relations here.
Okay.
In the community, so.
All right.
of his family are-
Personal contacts. So he just give it a whirl.
Yeah.
All right. Congratulations, Zachary. Okay, so old business, second reading of a ordinance amending the annual budget for the fiscal year, and this was an amendment to change some categories around and allow for some real estate purchase, I believe. So Gregory.
Before I read it, just to simplify, this basically was a movement of $110,000 from the sub paragraph streets, or from the subsection streets to general government. That was what it is. And so, whereas the city council wishes to amend the 2022, 2023 budget to more accurately reflect anticipated revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year, and in order to document authorization for expenditures other than those authorized by the original budget appropriations, and establish the availability of funds for transfer among the city's various capital accounts. Now therefore be it ordained by the city of Calvert City, Commonwealth, Kentucky, that the 2022, 2023 budget ordinance number 2022-07 hereby is amended to reflect the foregoing referenced modifications as follows. The only modification is under capital projects fund. It was 140,000, is now 350,000 in general government. And under streets, it was 862,500, is now 652,500. The totals did not change. And that is the read.
Is that 210,000 then?
210,
210.
Yep.
Did I say 110?
I think so.
So it's 210.
Okay.
Okay. Do we need a motion to
Make a motion to accept.
We have a second?
Second.
With the motion in a second, I think we need to do a roll call.
Okay, Councilman Babcock,
Yes.
Councilman Howard,
Yes.
Councilman Hale. Yes. Councilman Rao,
Yes.
Councilman Harrington is absent, and Councilman Stokes.
Yes.
Where was that moved? What department was it moved from to?
From streets to general government.
That was for the property behind the.
Okay. We had a special call meeting, which we just approved the minutes to, of November the 9th, where we discussed emergency sheltering and power system. So one thing is clear is we got widespread support to proceed down that path. I think it's very important that we got on record as having that. And I would like to recommend that the council be the committee. I think we discussed that in general at the last meeting, is then when we do put out a grant that has applicants, that the council evaluate them. And I got the proper read on that, did I not? Okay. So we'll come together in December with the information that's going to be put out and get it to you before our December meeting, so you can consider it and get to the final grant that we're going to release for submittals from interested parties. Is that fair enough?
Sounds good.
Good summary of where we're currently at. Have I missed something? Okay. And I appreciate you guys. I think that, discussing the needs and getting on board and checking for support, I think it's important. And I'm glad that we did it. And it's been just a few days since that time, so we really haven't moved that project forward since that special call meeting. So anybody else got anything they'd like to add? Okay. All right, so new business. Has anybody got any new business that's not on the agenda out here in the crowd? Okay. So we've got to consider resolution to accept free money, a grant assistance program. This is for the water project and on PV Cloud. This is an activity that we have to do in order to make those grant funds available. And with that, I'll turn it over to Greg.
We don't need to read the resolution. However, we do need to appoint the authorized official for the signing of the grants and the documents, I would assume. Glenda, was that Jean on the last?
Yes, because it's with the city. so
It is with the city, and he's the executive authority, so it would only make sense for him to be that person.
I agree.
So if you guys agree, there in section 2, we would recite that Mayor Jean Colburn is the designated official to be the authorized official to execute the agreement, related documents, agreements, and so forth.
So that this is a requirement. This particular grant program flows to the city of Calvert City and to the board or to the department.
It would be deposited in the accounts for water and sewer. It is the
Okay.
office's grant. And what's the amount?
1.1 million, something little over that.
And this simply authorizes Gene to sign the agreement, which is basically part of the loan close. It's a loan closing. This is not a negotiated contract. It's an adhesion contract. It's a take it or leave it kind of thing. But we've done KIA contracts. We've done KIA loans before, and it's the same basic terms that we've operated on previously.
So this is a project that's been out there for quite a while and it's been on the list and we finally got it funded. So this is for improvements along Highway 62. And it goes up PB Cloud and ties a loop in and makes it available to 8 new households, I think. Is that right? Something like that. And so what happens in the case like this, Rivercrest Engineer runs project and submits grant paperwork. And then we submit the request for payments and it flows through city budget. So what we need, we need to adopt this resolution.
Right, just a motion and a second, a vote to adopt the resolution.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution.
have a second?
Second.
Anybody have any questions? What kind of vote you need? Just
That's all.
that's all
That's
we need?
good.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Glenda will be the, obviously the clerk on the back, certificate of recording officer. That's all. She's the one in charge of the books, so. Okay, my stack is out of work. New business, item B, we were going through some of the stuff going on with utilities department. We became aware that the pay classification ordinance was not in order for the utility portion of this. And Dan and I looked over with Glenda what our rates of pay are and the last raise that we gave and where we want to go. And have suggested some changes in here, and they were all with the utility department. Dan, you want to speak to those at all? Okay, it is what it is. So we don't have a utilities manager hired right now. Operations supervisor Tim McEwen has agreed to be the acting superintendent, and he's filling that role. And we've transferred an employee from streets and roads over into the utilities, and I think that that's going to work out very well. So Bobby Henson is now in the utilities department. He had back when it was posted, it expressed an interest and got around and got him moved over and excited about that. So with that said,
So this pay scale is usually whatever percentage scaled across everyone. So how did we miss this group? Or
it was with Silas leaving and I guess not having a manager in place is how this got messed up. I mean, we got to looking at transferring Bobby Henson over and looked at some of these numbers and they did not appear right. And so we are correcting them.
Okay.
And again, their ranges and our employees' pays haven't changed.
They just fall within those ranges.
And so one of the things I want to point out is on the operator scale, nobody's making 27 at this time, but we've got it. If they get further certification, there's pretty much a formula thing to encourage them to do that. So that upper end of 27 is achievable for them without having to come back in front of this group to go there.
You ready?
Want to read it? Whenever you're ready.
Yes, read it. We got to read the whole thing.
No, same
Just the
thing we did
changes.
before, just parts that were changed.
Okay.
An ordinance amending the 2022, 2023 personnel pay classification plan, establishing compensation rates for employees and non-elected officials for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2022 and ending on June 30, 2023, ordinance number 2022-06. Whereas the city council wishes to amend the 2022-2023 budget to accurately provide for compensation adjustments required by a recently anticipated reorganization of personnel and management of the city's water and sewer department. Now therefore be it ordained by the city of Calvert City, Commonwealth of Kentucky, that 2022-2023 personnel and pay classification plan, ordinance number 2022-06, hereby is amended to reflect the foregoing referenced modifications as follows. The modifications are in the line items. Operations supervisor is now the range of $29.30 to $35 an hour. Maintenance lead person is now $28.35 to $31.37 an hour. Operator is $19.91 to $27 an hour. Operator apprentice is $18 to $20 an hour. And those are the only modifications, only amendments. That is good.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All right, roll call.
Okay. Councilman Stokes,
Yes.
Councilman Harrington is absent, Councilman Rao,
Yes.
Councilman Hale,
Yes.
Councilman Howard,
Yes.
Councilman Babcock.
Yes.
Okay, approved for the first reading.
And something I did not point out, we do not currently have the maintenance lead person. Mr. McEwen was that person and now he is the supervisor. And so that one's open and he wanted us to continue to look, see if there's a good fit for superintendent, maybe from without. So, it may be when we find the right candidate, that may be some reapportionment. And so that position would be occupied at that time.
So are we still looking for a manager?
Still trying to put together what the best solution is. I mean, the fact of the matter is that managers are pretty pricey and we had set forth with a situation where we're going to have a superintendent / manager moving forward. And so with Tim's leadership, I think we're going to be able to sustain what we have, but that overall decision still needs to be made, whether we're going to go with a full manager and a manager salary and a superintendent, or find the right person that could do both. That's kind of where we're still at. I think that Tim stepping up into the role where he is now in charge of the directing and training and disciplining of employees, I think is a big move forward from where we were. But we're still looking at that. And so we've got to regroup and go back out with our search that's gotten cold. And we put the search for a manager out on the media, not the media, but for the water systems and how they do that sort of thing. It was a little bit intimidating, and the response to that was pretty wide ranging and not really appropriate. So we got to put that back together and go on another search. But meanwhile, back at the ranch, I really applaud Tim for stepping up. And
Oh, I do too,
Going that route.
absolutely. But when we restructured or reorganized the water board and the utilities board and everything, did we not take that kind of process in a sense away from them, that they weren't?
they're in an advisory capacity toward that. Yeah.
Our job posting, we got, it was out of our budget, or we didn't get qualified candidates?
Well, we interviewed 3, telephone interviewed 1 or 2 in person, and they just didn't seem to be a proper fit. We actually had one that was probably more toward what we would consider superintendent that we weren't able to get at the time, but it probably was a little lacking in more managerial, right? So for a rural utility like we have, with the number of hookups we have, we also have a need for somebody laced up pretty tight to deal with some large industrial client base. And so it's a unique situation in Calvert City.
So it's an advisory board. Are they interviewing the people?
Yes, we've got
The whole board?
not the whole board, because it's a public meeting when you do that. And it's odd to do that in an interview situation that sometimes has to be
Well, or maybe reviewing the applicants?
confidence. Yeah. Yeah. So there's Dan and myself and Barry off the board are the ones, and the utility board agreed that would be a proper approach. Any other? Good.
City Gene, but Tim stepping the other guys, Daryl and Lynn and long-term employees have really stepped up. Responsibility, fulfilling the job
That,
like it should be done.
that's absolutely no surprise to me. I'm glad they are, but that's what I would, they're just that kind of people.
So across the board, and they're carrying the on-call too frequently. So it's really important that we got some extra help and they're bringing them up on the speed too. Okay,
This was not on the agenda.
Right.
Great. What's this?
so not on the agenda. We've got a document in your packet, which is the temporary encroachment
I
agreement.
gave everyone, I put one out.
Is there one out for everybody? Okay. So Greg, you want to take us through this?
Sure. MegaFit, you guys may or may not be aware, but MegaFit is in the process of trying to get a conditional use permit for the continued operation of its business out at the end of Oak Park Boulevard near 62. And they, within the past 6 months, have built a loading dock facility at the back corner of their property, and in doing so, they crossed the boundary, they crossed the property line over onto the city's property. Do you remember how far it is, Gene? They're 4 feet over or 4 inches over. They're not very far over onto the city's property, but they got over on the city's property and built in their loading dock. Well, you can't do that. But you can if you have a temporary encroachment agreement with the city. You know, we've done this kind of thing from time to time over the past 30 years. Allwood at one point for instance, had a conveyor that they went over the street with a conveyor mechanism. The coal company out here has a temporary encroachment agreement for its railroad track across the road. And this is a temporary encroachment agreement to allow them to maintain that little bit of their loading dock that extends onto our property. Subject to, if at any point the city determines that we need that for public purpose, then they have to tear it down, get it out of the way. That's the nature of a temporary encroachment agreement. You have to have that. They have agreed it as consideration for that to allow the city to utilize their parking lot for getting emergency vehicles in and out of there across their parking lot. Tim has said, yeah, that's good for us. It doesn't seem to get in their way. The loading dock as now constructed does not seem to keep them from backing out of anything or obstruct anything. And the free access to run across their property if we need to get emergency vehicles in and out of there is a good thing, according to Tim. And so this is presented to you guys. Now, let me say at the outset, even if you guys approve this, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to do it, because if they don't get their conditional use permit, this kind of isn't needed anymore. This was identified by the Board of Adjustment as something that they would require if they were going to approve that conditional use permit. Something that would be required would be a temporary encroachment agreement or some kind of an agreement with the city that would allow them to maintain that loading dock. They're either gonna have to tear it down or maintain it on city property. So your approval of this doesn't necessarily mean that that we're going to do it, but your approval of it is required before it becomes a possibility of doing it. So it's fairly onerous. I mean, they've got to ensure, they've got hold harmless provisions that if anybody runs into the thing and if the city were to get sued because the loading dock is there, they've got insurance. They've got to carry insurance and name the city as an additional insured and hold the city harmless. And it's full of those kinds of provisions designed to protect the city. But it's just kind of part of what it is. All encroachment agreements are kind of like that. So that's it.
And the dock itself was also a term, right?
They
They needed a dock because they were loading in the parking lot. That was also a term. So it was part of them trying to resolved.
Yeah,
Resolve all their issues.
it gets in, there's tons of issues. It's supposed to be built on the back of the building, or the part that encroaches is not on the back of the building, it's on the side of the building.
Right.
And the
Oh.
city had not, or the Board of Adjustment had not actually reviewed the design. So they sort of got the cart before the horse and built the loading dock before they got approval to build the loading dock. So it's just kind of
Do it, then ask for forgiveness.
it's just kind of there's just more questions than there are answers, but this is one of many issues that's up for.
Still a question there, the city officials didn't go by there and see it. We didn't stop anything. So we're not blameless in it.
I didn't know it was there until it was there.
I mean, they didn't build it in one day. I'm fine with it.
I'll make a motion that we approve this temporary encroachment agreement with Mega Fit Meals.
Second.
You don't need a roll call or anything. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. And I think from my attendance of these meetings, the way they're explaining that it was inadvertent, I believe that it was. Seems like a situation is remedied by this. To me, it hinged on Chief Davis's approval, and he approved of it early on as far as it not messing up the fire department, so. All right. We'll turn the agenda upside down. We'll get the airports update first. We always save him for last. We'll move him around a little bit just to be unpredictable.
This is the guy that retired last year.
He's just, what can you say?
Sorry, I sneak up on. November 22nd. MTM will be on site. MTM Enterprises. Hopefully they will have their chainsaws with them. And they'll get to work on the removal of the obstruction trees. Sean Gibbs and Nate Haas from Hanson offices in Nashville and Springfield, Illinois, respectively, will be on site monitoring the activity. Sean will be looking for bald eagles, and Nate will be looking at whether or not they're cutting the proper trees. So we'll have all the bases covered. That's November 22nd. Presumably, MTM Enterprises will be, it's a fairly quick job. All the trees have already been marked and agreed upon. And the State Forestry Department will be represented as well. So that project should go forward.
So you're getting down into the season where we're making a list and checking it twice then.
That's correct.
Okay.
We'll probably check it.
All the trees and nothing but the trees?
We'll check it 4 times, probably, because that's what bureaucrats do.
If you see any bats, you didn't.
Yeah.
We see nothing.
There's no bats. It's November. There's no bats around.
Good, good.
We're in good shape. The airport layout plan and the fence projects are moving their way through the state bureaucracy ever so slowly. They are progressing. We should have resolution on both of those projects by spring. And last, but certainly not least, during the last legislative session, the state of Kentucky legislature determined that each general aviation airport should receive a check for $200,000 out of the general fund for the state. It's actually from the statewide aviation fuel tax revenues. It's a completely different approach to financing and assisting airports in their funding, where historically there would be state grants for individual projects. and every airport would have to compete for those projects. In this particular case, all 54 general aviation airports received a check for $200,000. Yours arrived
November
recently. And was dropped in your account. The good news is there's no real requirement that you have to meet for spending that money, but one, and that is it must be spent on the airport. Your water department can't have any of it, so just as an example. That's the topic of the day, apparently. But that $200,000 has arrived, and we'll be working with the advisory committee on whether or not that should be put towards capital projects, or whether or not it should be put toward, or appropriately put toward operational expenses. And either way, it will be spent on the airport. So we'll be working with them starting tomorrow on how best to advise the city on spending that money. It's the 200,000 is a one-time deal. There's no guarantee that that will continue. There's a lot of debate as to whether or not that's even helpful for airports compared to actually paying for a project like the fence project or the pavement projects that have taken place previously at this airport. All the airports are in that kind of situation, but because they sent this $200,000 check to all 54 airports, there's no money left for capital projects. And so ultimately, in the long run, that may, and I guess I'm editorializing at this point, maybe I shouldn't do that, but just preparing you for what the future may or may not bring. That's my report. Answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I think it was a more positive report since you're now in the front of the line instead of perennially in the back of it.
Well, and he got
But I
to tell
appreciate
us
you coming
The
out.
check came.
Yeah.
The check came.
The check's not in the mail, it's here.
Linda gave him the good news that the check is no longer in the mail. It's in the account. Good news, bad news. Everybody gets it. And the bad news is if you got something that's particularly competitive, you may not very well.
It
What you
it
might
makes you
have.
wonder if all 54 had a $200,000 need or not, right? I mean, maybe they do.
Well, if you're trying to keep the general aviation airport going, there's
He
always,
probably did.
but thank you for pointing out the change, sir. All right. Blair, you ready for a marketing director's report? On your birthday? To get on public record as being Blair's birthday today.
Well, if I could think of a group of people, I guess it'd be y'all.
Just not here. Hey, Blair, just not here.
Yeah, just not here. So I guess first off, we have a ribbon cutting this week. I'm a little bit behind, so it's this Thursday for the new trail, the Moneymaker Trail. If you guys can make it, it's at 4 o'clock. It was originally at 5 o'clock, but now it's dark at 5 o'clock, so can't really make that happen.
That's an audible to change it to 4.
Yeah.
Good move.
Is it down by there?
Yeah. I don't know, I might probably borrow only because if somebody can't walk, I don't think anybody, I feel like everybody that comes will be able to walk to the trail, but it is kind of a long distance, so. It absolutely has a golf cart.
Hey, we've got a Ranger, and we've got a golf cart as well.
You can come get any golf cart, I guess.
We just have to,
That would be a lot easier.
okay, well, let me talk to Mike, because
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be a bit Irish, maybe.
well, he might could bring it on the trailer over.
Okay, yeah.
Let me
that
talk
would-
to him,
that would
I'll
be good.
ask him and
That'd be
see.
easier.
He's deer
'Cause
hunting,
Really,
so,
that only holds one person, so.
Yeah.
We get a golf cart. it holds one.
Yeah, okay.
So the trail,
Yes, trail's done 3.26 miles, I think. There's been some people riding it and David Albee, he got some on Strava last week. So
There's a challenge, a Strava challenge. Is that
there's a
the proper?
challenge I don't know if it's up yet, but Calvert Cranksgiving. So you can go on and ride or walk or run the trail and kind of compete with others. Me, Kevin.
We were cracking that turkey in.
Yeah. So it's just kind of a fun thing to get people on the trail. And I think we'll probably do more of those, once it kind of warms up and it's spring. But we'll just do, the 17th Thursday at 2:00. And we will just kind of mosey back to the trailhead back there and then have a ribbon cutting and get some pictures and other things, we're doing a Calvert can drive. There are 6 businesses: J-Max, Calvert Cafe, 50s Cafe, Snap, Shoparama, and Food Giant. You can drop off. Canned goods, but what we're really looking for is snack pack items, things that the Calvert Sharp Family Resource Center can send home with kids in their backpacks. So things like prepackaged crackers, like peanut butter crackers, maybe like microwave popcorn, fruit cups, applesauce, oatmeal, Pop-Tarts, granola bars, things like that. You can drop them off starting now. I have the totes in the back of my car, so as soon as they get there, they will be ready to go. But they'll be at all of those locations and then here at City Hall too. So we'll gather all of those up on December the 12th. That'll be the last day to donate, and then we'll give those to the Family Resource Center. So, did you say? Oh, sorry. So that starts tomorrow. We'll start tomorrow, and then we'll go through December 12th. But those are all items that they kind of need, and there'll be a list of those on the website and on the Facebook page too. We started the texting service. I started advertising it yesterday. You guys are kind of internally on the list already. So if you haven't signed up for it, go ahead. There's different services. There's different texting services. You have events that you can text to and just get events. About events that are happening. You have a volunteer list. So anytime there's volunteer opportunities, you get a text message about that.
So everybody in this room is mandatorily on the volunteer list, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
I signed up for all of
I know your all's email
Yeah.
where you live. But there's the events and texting, then there's meetings. So if you sign up for the meetings, it'll text about
That's one I
board
didn't sign up
meetings.
for.
Yeah.
Now
That's
you-
one I did sign up for.
And then the last one is garbage. So it'll send text messages for garbage pickup. And if you don't know, and I'm sure Brad will say, but leaf back started today. So that will be a text message that goes out. Actually, I think it's already gone out. That's okay. Anyway, so we
I didn't
started
get it.
advertising that Friday, and then over the next couple of weeks, I'll start advertising each individual group. We've done events, but this week we'll do another one, and then the next, so on and so forth. It's a really great service. I think it'll be good. And
I must not be signed up, because I ain't getting none.
you haven't got the garbage yet?
Mhm.
No.
How do you sign up for them? What?
Yeah, I don't think it.
I thought I signed up for them. I did.
You can scan this code here, or you can just
Oh,
text events to this number.
Mhm.
It's the same number all the way around, so if you text events this number, then the next text volunteer, and then the next meetings.
Gotcha.
But it is on our Facebook page too, so you can go on there. Let's see, the photo contest, we had 198 photo entries. They chose the photos last Wednesday. So that will be entered, got the calendars ordered to be delivered before the Christmas event, December the 3rd. And a lot of really awesome photos. The theme this year was landscape or animals. So lots of very pretty pictures of all kinds of different animals. Who would have known? But they're right here in Calvert. As far as the Christmas events, which is crazy that we're already talking about this, but literally next week is Thanksgiving, y'all. Just so you know, you did not know that it is. Then the next weekend will be our Christmas events. So Friday is the Santa Fly-In. I posted it last Monday, and within 2 days, all of the tickets were gone. It's free, but because of where it's at the airport, there's limited parking. So we had 100 tickets, and those are gone. I think that I could probably up it another 50 tickets, and I'll probably do that tomorrow. So I'll repost that there's 50 tickets available. But what happens is it's from 6 to 8 on Friday. So you get there at 6 o'clock, and we'll have cookie decorating and milk and cookies and hot chocolate. The state park is partnering with us on that and providing those. And then Santa will fly in to the airport thanks to Michael Fagan. He's gonna fly Santa in. And then the reindeer are gonna one reindeer is going to be over hiding over by the hangars. And then
We're gonna see him flying,
we'll see Santa fly in, yeah, about 6:15.
Not the reindeer.
not the reindeer.
Sorry to disappoint. They can only fly on Christmas Day, apparently.
That's right.
Well, that's right. I forgot about that.
It's
A little technical thing. So, yeah.
Yes. Magical and works on Christmas. So anyway, they'll come to the tent, and there'll be a tent outside. They can get pictures taken with the reindeer and Santa. They're gonna do a book reading. The library's donated some books to hand out to kids. So there'll be cookies to decorate, and then we have a coloring book that we made for the airport, Calvert City Airport. So each kid will get a coloring book and a set of crayons to take home. And then that will be the end of that event. So that's Friday. Then on Saturday, we get up early and start with a Jingle Dash. It is a 5K, a 10K, and also a half of a mile walk. Dave said last year the walk was way too long. So we needed to shorten it.
Mhm.
So this year we're just gonna walk around Memorial Park one time. And he promised me that he would be awake by 9:30, so hopefully he will be. But we've have a really good turnout. I know last year Dave raised over $3,000 for St. Jude's. This year he's raising money for the Youth Services Family Resource Center for Marshall County. So if you want to sign up to be a part of it, you have to register by tomorrow to get a t-shirt. So please do that. Tomorrow's 15th, right? Yeah. Register for the 15th. You can go on and register for the 10K, 5K, or just the 0.5 mile walk, and that's $10. So try and do that. And that is that morning. And then the Christmas Bazaar, we have 142 vendors this year at 6 different locations. There's the Civic Center, the First Baptist Church, Altona, Lakeland Event Center, and then we have Carrying Company. They are just kind of doing an open house where you can go and get pictures taken. She'll have lots of balloons set up for the kids to get your photo taken in front of. It'll just be a fun little afternoon. Then at the Methodist Church this year, we have Santa's Workshop, and it's a place where you can go and do yourself kind of things. You guys are gonna be like, oh my gosh. So the do-it-yourself, you can pour candles, pour your own candle. You can make a live wreath. They have like pillow making kits, all kinds of different fun things that you can sign up for. But they are asking that you register now so that they're prepared on the day of. That's on the Facebook, that's on our Facebook page, but it's also on the website too. You can go on and register for those particular things. So the bazaar is December 3rd from 9 to 4, and then the tree lighting event starts at 2 and goes until 6. We'll light the tree at about 5 o'clock, I'm thinking. It will be dark enough to light it. And then the parade starts at 6. So during the tree lighting, we have Jackson Purchase and West Particular Electric. They've got some tents set up, and they're going to hand out some free stuff. And then we'll be down there doing cookie decorating. Paducah Jazz Ensemble is going to play for a couple of hours, and then the elementary school will sing a few songs, and then we'll light the tree, and then everybody head to Fifth Avenue for the parade at 6 o'clock. if you want to be a part of the parade, the lineup is at 4:45. I know Carrie at City Hall here, she really wants to have a float, and I'm all about it. So I'm happy to decorate one if you all want to ride in one, or if your kiddos want to ride in one, you're more than welcome to do that.
What
So
time is lineup?
Lineup's at
Corey
4:45.
wants to. Sorry.
Mhm.
Corey said he didn't want to.
Yeah, well, I know all of the girls have little ones, so, just, I'm sure that they would love to be in a parade.
Put one in it then.
I think it'd be,
Absolutely.
I think it'd be nice to have city employees, kids,
Yeah.
that do
Anybody
the
that wants-
float and
Anybody
Jeremy,
that wants to.
yeah, do it just for kids,
I think it'd be fun, yeah, so if you guys are.
I can see my 3 kids are very excited about it.
little kids.
I can see them.
That's what I said. Corey's not gonna ride.
I live in a car and a trailer. Probably one with sides. Would be good. And then the tree lighting Christmas, and I think that's it.
Sounds like a lot.
Good night. That sounds like a lot. Because it is a lot. Thank you, Blair. What a whole lot of work that is, but that's the kind of stuff that makes the community extra special. And, the Christmas parade's for the little kids, and they're going to go away and wow with all that, every one of them. So the Santa fly-in, where did that idea come from? That is an awesome idea. That sets us apart in a way that we've not. I've seen the signs for it, was aware of it. I didn't know, but I didn't realize that reindeer were cargo until Christmas Day. I mean, I guess it makes sense when you really think about it, Christmas Eve. That's cool.
Yeah, they're gonna make some reindeer food too, I think.
But I think, any interaction we have with younger people back out there, and many of us remember the airport from our more youthful days was really cool. All kinds of fly-ins, interesting things going on out there. And, we've had high school students out there, some youth programs already. And I think it's really, Mayor Jones had that vision and, the careers and future of that. And so this is getting them out there sooner is better. I think if you ask any crowd you see in Marshall County, how many people have been to Calvert City Airport, and there's not as many hands up as what I expect there to be. Almost every time I've asked that question. And so hopefully we'll get that number up. I think it's a good thing. So appreciate all the hard work. Okay, John's not here, so we're gonna have to go through. Scott, you got anything going on at the state park? Yep. Okay.
Of course. You saw it today. I mean, come on. Were you out there today?
I was not out there today.
Oh, I thought you were out there. today.
Mm-mm.
Things happening. I was just listening about myself. I didn't remember. About 2 weeks ago, we had our Frontiersman buffet, which is basically our wild game buffet. Went over very well. First returning buffet officially, I guess you could say, in a sense. We're kind of doing them low key because, to be honest, with a few staffing issues. That's our biggest struggle, trying to find consistent staff, quality staff, and et cetera, which goes along with the artifact show this last weekend. I don't know if any of you ever go to it. It's put on by Green River. Can't think of the rest of the organization thing. Been happening for about 30 years in our conference center. It's an event unlike anything else we do. Or I shouldn't say we do anything else that happens on the park. I don't know if any of you have ever actually visited the event. Yeah, it's unique.
It is.
There's just no other ways to explain it. You got to experience it at least once in your life. Got to put it on your bucket list.
That was last weekend.
It was last week.
Right.
Yes, sir. And it'll be this next year. It comes
Okay.
every November. All right. What else we got going on? Thanksgiving buffet is here. We'll be here next week. By the way, we're doing reservations only. And the real irony is we haven't advertised it. We're all sold out.
Wow.
Just by people saying, hey, you got a Thanksgiving buffet? And it'll be good. I mean, we're going back to the real buffet. So, 4 or 5 meats. And so if you're still interested in coming, call us like soon. I think this morning, last I knew, the last reservation, about the only thing we had available to get was 3 o'clock city. So it should be a good event. Looking forward to that. So what else we got going on? Eagles Weekend has returned for this next year. We will have Eagles Weekend in January 20th weekend. If you're interested, we put that on sale this morning, or actually this weekend.
Is it sold out too?
I'll be very honest with you, sir. We are with 1 day of phone calls, because they started this morning, and my staff have not been able to take a breath all day today. We had 3 people on the phone solid. As soon as they hang up, they had 4 calls to call back on. That was how crazy that event was.
So what's the date on that one? 20?
That is the weekend of the 20th. But we always have our Raptor show on Saturday evening, and that's always a good event to come, and that's open to the public. This year will be Liberty Raptor Center, or Resource Center, or whatever they are. It's a really good show. Come see birds live. So you got that coming in January. We are in the midst of filling positions. I mean, we've got multiple merit positions. I think I've listed that before. Right now, as of today, on the website for opening, you can apply for it today, is our HVAC technician, our wastewater operator, our plant operator's position. Let's see, what else? Restaurant server, we have a second restaurant server position that's posting, front desk position posting. We've got our sales representative. We're gonna be posting that probably about the first of the month. So there are positions to be interested in, and either they're respectable positions in the state of Kentucky. So it's not like these are just fly by night things. So we're excited to bring, most of those kind of faded out during COVID. And now that we're getting busier, we gotta bring them back. And that's where we're at. So they're fully funded and ready to rock and roll. We can get the right people in them. So if you may not be the one, but if you know something, if nothing else, call me. I'll send them in the right direction on how to apply. But that's what's happening with the park right now.
All right. Thank you very much. We want the park to be very successful and appreciate you coming out, taking the time to come to our meetings and partner up with us when we have opportunity. So thank you.
No, we're excited about the same line, like you are. You know, it'll be fun.
It'll be really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Dan, you got something from the utilities board that we should share?
We're just got projects going and they're moving along.
All right. So we've got a new water line buried under the creek. It's in the process of being started up very soon. Tim's got it under process for making sure it's going to start seamlessly.
750 million gallon water storage tank has been checked out, cleaned, painted, nice. Look at it. See it from the road, it's right up. Get that done.
All right, Chief. You got
You mentioned PD Cloud, it's still, it's moving along. Now that the engineering had already been done on it, so.
good deal. Chief Cannon, you got something?
I just one thing, this week, Department of Criminal Justice and Training is hosting a class here in Calvert City. So you're gonna see police cars from different agencies throughout town this week. Outside of that, we're all good.
They were in evidence at Mexico today. That's a Mexican restaurant. A lot of law enforcement around there. Hope there weren't anybody that were skittish around that because they would have had a hard time today. Chief Davis.
We're really busy right now. This is the 14th day and we've already had 18 calls. So we're getting off the fiery start. We're just trying to get some new people trained, certified. The state's screwing with the hours again. They're not real sure. They say they have, but saying they're making it easier and all that, but we're not finding that right now. So hopefully we'll have everybody certified and maybe by the end of the year anyway, not this year, but next year. Just something all the time.
Okay, well, thank you. Brad, you got anything you want to report on?
Well, like Blair said, we started vacuum leaves today. Rear may have got their concrete box in for the detention basin. Well, I don't know if they're gonna pick them up. The concrete kind of called me and told me they were finished for them today, so hopefully they'll be able to wrap that project on up. I finished up, had it buried last week. Got it all stabilized.
Turn out good? I meant to get out there and see that. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, that turned out good. The parks guys, of course, are working to get the Christmas decorations all up. Try to stay on top of the leaves where they can, and also, of course, work guys got people on vacation here and there. And stuff like that.
The flags look good. I appreciate that. All right. Now, council. Anything, Kevin?
No.
No? Hear me?
No, sir.
Nita?
Just a couple of fast ones on the retention basin. I know we had questions with Justin Ross about, we had talked about maybe having a walking trail around it and different things. Will that be referred to the Parks Department? Or will the council? Have we?
I thought that was on the map that was given to us of what the plan was.
I don't think it was on there, but I don't think we ever really finalized anything. I think that was probably just a generic
Idea.
there. And I
Well,
just-
you know, the idea was, I think that we would have some Parks Department input, but it's not currently part of Parks. Justin's concern was not a concern. He saw the artist rendition of that, and we're asking about that walking trail. Listen, we've not put that in part of the budget and funded that.
Right.
So we need to come up with a plan. I mean, we talked about it. I think it'll make it a community asset instead of a community eyesore. There's been a lot of questions about that. And, you know, you're having to endure its construction in the dust and had some concerns
Been a
about that.
dry year too.
Yeah, and let's not forget the intent of that thing is to really alleviate flash flooding for a pretty good swath of the city. And had a good interaction with Justin. And I appreciate everybody who did. But the next question from the neighborhood is, okay, we've talked about things out there. What are we going to do? So I don't know how to quite answer your question.
Maybe next year's, but.
That's what I had in my mind, and we may be able to get to something sooner than that. I mean, some of that stuff would be, seems like it lends itself to doing in the spring, just exactly what that looks like. So we probably, good point. We need to start developing ideas in, February.
I
and
just didn't know
March. Yeah.
which way we would, I knew the Parks Board hadn't been involved.
Mhm.
We just sort of discussed it generally. And so, like you said, sort of get a plan going forward of how to do it. And the other question was, have we made any progress on whether or not we can make a donation as a city to the Arts Council? Did you get a chance to talk to their attorney, Greg? I thought we spoke calling.
I called him and did not get, and haven't heard back from him.
Okay.
But now that you've mentioned it to me, I'll call him again.
Okay.
I'll try to talk again.
I think the basin project looks great. I don't think it's an eyesore at all. It's way better than that.
Yeah, well, I think people were concerned about it when it's under construction. I think there's some misgiving there too. People were concerned about it being a mosquito hole, and I'm telling them what was there before was a mosquito problem. What we have now is not designed to be that at all. And if it creates problems with too much water retention and it's getting to be a problem, then we need to do something different.
Get the old fish.
I mean, it should be
Yeah.
dry the majority of the time, the vast majority.
Yeah, it's designed to drain.
Yeah.
So. That's what we had was more meandering and probably had more puddles in it before. And folks just don't understand that. And
Let me revise my answer, Nita. No, I did talk to him. And when you asked me that, I forgot my conversation. The conversation with him was, honestly, I thought about, they've done it in the past and he hasn't looked at it. He doesn't have any, there's not been no research. There's been no research done on it. You're talking about the donation to the Arts Council, right?
Yeah, if the city could,
Yeah, the city could. The legal answer is no. Did Benton do it? Yes, they did. That's the answer.
Okay,
And
like,
Rob did not have it. I asked Rob, have you done any research? Do you have any support for that? And he said, no, I haven't done it.
when we give like to fishing tournament, high school fishing tournament, the city gives to that, is that because it's located at the dam?
It's because it's located at the dam, because we co-sponsor them and or we'll purchase PR as a part of that. We can do some of that to promote the city, but it
Okay.
doesn't, it's, and maybe that could be part of Rob's justification for doing it, because their theater is actually located within the confines of Benton. But, but yeah, he had not really. Yes, the reason we have made those contributions, and there, we would hesitate to call them contributions. We have co-sponsored and we have purchased PR.
And so we couldn't co-sponsor something that's out of the city, is what you're saying.
And I don't think that's a black and white. I don't think that's black and white. We possibly could sponsor something if we could justify it as being, as promoting the city or promoting the PR of the city. Sure. I think it doesn't, it's not necessary that the event be located within the confines of the city.
Well, let's take it this way. Let's talk to the Arts Center board and talk about programs, either located in CC or expressly make sure that the youth and various people who'd be interested in our programs are explicitly benefiting, and see where we go from there. And I think that they would love to expand the reach and do something up here. And, usually public library is a good partner, or, whoever. It could even be in our civic center or something, or even in the amphitheater. It just depends
Well,
on
they
what the
did
program.
try, I think the Shakespeare.
We've done that,
Park, and
right?
they tried, they got COVID and they couldn't, but it was set up, so. So if
Yeah.
we co-sponsored something, we could do it that way, we're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the path. You had two things. You had another.
That was the
Oh,
other
that was it.
one.
But, okay. But I think on the basin, I think that we should expressly toss that idea to the Parks Board and see what they have in mind, and so they want to pick it up and run with it. But we certainly need, if we're going to do something, we need to come up with a plan of what that might be.
I think at this point, I think the Parks Board is totally blindsided, they
Yeah.
weren't involved in it, so.
Well, I mean, the project execution is different than at the end of the thing. And so now, what are the meets and bounds of the project? I mean, you can walk it now. You can see where the pins are and get an idea what could go out there.
Right.
But there was an artist rendition, and we were called out for that, I think, in social media. Say, hey, I saw pictures here. This is all coming. When we're going to get it. And we didn't fund that portion of the project. So we need to move on and see what we want to do as the city budget council.
Next phase.
Yeah.
Next phase.
Basically.
Tanner, you got something? Oh, okay. Ralph, last but not least.
We've not been billed or have we paid?
We just received an invoice for half.
Right.
We have not
On
to
the
this day
detention.
paid anything.
What?
On the basin.
On the basin. So we got
I'm sorry.
invoice from the major
I
contractor.
turned that off.
So-
Yes, we just received an invoice for half of it.
So the billing may be a little bit behind, but. Okay,
Before you stop, we amended the budget tonight. To allocate funds. I assume based upon prior action, we are now authorized to accept an offer, correct? Tomorrow we can accept an offer. We now have the funds budgeted and authorized. We can accept the offer to.
There was another contingency, there wasn't there? Title.
yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
But we can accept contingent upon.
Yeah.
Good title.
Okay. Clean title.
Yeah, the offer is conveying good title, and if they can't convey good title. But we can go ahead and accept the offer contingent upon good title.
Right.
Okay, good. That's what we'll do.
So. Yeah. That's contingent upon making a sale and. There we go. Glendy, got anything for us? You're over here just taking notes like crazy.
I know.
It's the minutes.
It's the minutes. That and the, now you got backup. Entire,
I love that.
you like the video part of it better than just
I do.
voices, yeah.
I normally sit through it and then watch it again.
Me too. Me too. What I do for Max.
So the last meeting we had a technical problem here, Kevin. But since you're here tonight, I would entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
All right,
We
second,
did.
all in favor? Opposed? All right.
Oh, me.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, gonna stay all night. I wasn't here to
Chris
make one.
stepped up.
So listen, we had a fairly short meeting. John wasn't here, so see that.
I think
Is
John's not invited back.
that the
He's
issue?
not invited back.
Yeah.
We'll start early Tuesdays. Tell John it's the second Tuesday.
She bought a brand new. And that's my part of her things. Pulled up her personal photos and I went through it.
Her cooking was great.
So she calls me.
I was like, I don't think I can help you with that.
Yes.
It's exciting. It's exciting.
Yes, and